Hi, and welcome to the Writers Workshop video series from the Tennessee Division of Adult Education. My name is Adam, and in these videos we are going to be taking a close look at the essay portion of the HiSET writing exam. Before we do that, let's look at a little bit about how that test is broken down. As you might know, there's 50 multiple choice questions on that test, and then at the very end there's going to be one essay question that you have to answer. In order to do this, you get 120 minutes total, or 2 hours. But you want to save about 45 minutes to write your essay. That way you have enough time to plan what you want to write, actually write it, and then sometime at the end to look back and make sure that you correct any grammar or spelling mistakes that you might have made. You can take this test on paper and pencil, in which case you'll actually have to hand write your essay, or you can take it on the computer as well. But if you take it on the computer, you will have to be a little familiar with the keyboard. So let's look a little bit more closely at the essay that you're going to write for the HiSET exam. This essay is called an argumentative essay, or more simply put, it is just a written argument. This essay can be defined as a set of reasons written with the goal of persuading others that an action or an idea is right or wrong. And don't forget, these reasons are actually going to rely on the evidence from the passages that you're going to read before you actually write your essay. So before you actually write your essay, you're going to read through a passage that supports the topic, and you're going to read through a passage that is against the topic. And let's use an example from the HiSET website about whether or not you should be allowed to dress casually in the workplace, or whether or not you should have to dress more formally in business attire in the workplace. We'll read through the argument that supports casual dress in the workplace first.
The business uniform of the 1950s was the gray flannel suit. However, modern America has a different uniform. Companies are increasingly adopting dress codes that favor casual wear. They hope to encourage creativity rather than conformity in the workplace. The term Casual Friday began in Hawaii in the 1960s, a place and time noted for a more casual look. Aloha Friday started in support of the state's garment industry by promoting floral print Hawaiian shirts. As the fad spread to the mainland, more and more businesses saw an increase in employee morale and creativity. This trend accelerated with the rise of internet startup companies. Most of these companies were formed by young people who dressed very casually. Their typical attire was sneakers, jeans, and t-shirts. This was fitting since some of these startup enterprises began in dorm rooms, garages, and basements. As the companies became successful, their founders were suddenly in charge of million-dollar businesses. Business culture did not change these leaders. Rather, they changed business culture. These young professionals adopted casual attire as their dress code, believing that nonconformity in clothing could spawn creativity. In some companies, it is not unusual to see CEOs and employees wearing jeans and sweatshirts. In fact, casual clothing is even considered a company benefit. Who wouldn't prefer wearing t-shirts rather than suits? The business world has entered a less formal age. Research shows that casual clothing inspires confidence and ingenuity. Gone are the days when one had to deny individuality by hiding inside the mandatory business suit. When the White House had problems with its website, they brought in an executive from a computer company. To do so, they had to alter their outdated dress code. The good news is, the expert wearing tennis shoes solved their problems without a coat and tie.
So this person makes a pretty compelling argument about why you should dress casually in the workplace. They say that it actually increases employee morale and creativity, and that research shows that casual clothing inspires confidence and ingenuity, right? So now let's read through something that argues against casual clothing in the workplace.
Think of a construction worker, a medical doctor, and a police officer. Chances are you pictured in your mind a person with a hard hat, a lab coat, or a blue uniform. This illustrates the fact that many careers have standards for employee attire. With some jobs, the picture of what is appropriate to wear may not be as distinctive. However, having a formal dress code in the workplace is important for maintaining professionalism and customer confidence. People argue that we live in an informal age, so we should dress less formally. Why is this a problem? One reason is productivity. Research shows that people match their attitudes to the clothing they wear. In fact, having clothes that are worn only at work, whether actual uniforms or simply following company dress code, makes people more focused. Casual clothing contributes to casual attitudes toward work. In fact, one study even connects informal dress with increased absenteeism. Another concern is that customers have less trust in people who dress casually at work. Even if an employee is fully engaged in serving the customer, casual clothing signals that comfort rather than job performance is the first priority. If employees don't look professional, then how can customers trust them to actually be professional? This is even more important today given the rise of Casual Friday, a day when dress codes are more relaxed. Unfortunately, some people decide to wear clothing more suited to the beach than a place of business. Also, evidence shows that casual dress days influence employees to dress less professionally throughout the week. Casual Fridays become Casual Thursdays, and Wednesdays, and so on. Before long, the entire week is casual. Employees should be required to dress professionally in order to work more efficiently and instill customer confidence. Casual clothes have their place, but it is not in the workplace.
So this person makes the argument that if you dress casually on Friday, then you'll dress casually on Thursday. And then that'll eventually lead to you dressing casual on Wednesday, and then you'll just be approaching your whole job from a casual outlook. And it'll just lead to a whole lack of professionalism in the workplace. So after you read through your two passages, you'll read through the directions and then write your essay. And let's look closely at the directions that they give you. There's a couple things that I want to highlight in here as we read through. First, let's read through them. Write an essay in which you explain your own position on the issue of whether or not businesses should allow employees to wear casual clothing in the workplace. Be sure to use evidence from the text passages provided, as well as specific reasons and examples from your own experience and knowledge to support your position. Remember that every position exists within the context of a larger discussion of the issue, so your essay should, at minimum, acknowledge alternate and/or opposing ideas. When you've finished your essay, review your writing to check for correct spelling, punctuation, and grammar. So the first thing that they ask you to do is explain your own position, and that's arguably the most important thing that you need to be doing. You want to choose one side or the other and stick to that one side. Here, this tells you how you can actually do this. And remember, before we talked about evidence, and that is one thing that they really want you to do in your essay, is to use evidence from the text passages that you just read. Another thing they want you to do is use examples from your own personal experience. And lastly, they want you to at least acknowledge alternate and/or opposing ideas, and just know that there's other people out there that may not agree with what you agree with. So let's read through an example essay from the HiSET website. So think back to the directions that we just read through. Every one of those can be pointed out here in this essay. Here, where they say since work ethic is determined by one's performance rather than outward appearance, it is unreasonable to consider one's clothing as a factor in determining what makes a good employee. This is the author explaining their own position. This is what's called the thesis statement. Here, they address the opposing idea by saying those who consider casual clothing unprofessional claim that Casual Friday will gradually move to Casual Wednesday. And in here, they rely on their own personal experience. They say, my last two jobs have followed this idea. And then lastly, here's where they cite the evidence from the text. They say casual attire on Fridays will boost morale among employees and lead to more confidence. So if you remember from the first passage that we read through that supported casual attire in the workplace, they actually say those two things right in here. Here they say businesses saw an increase in employee morale, and down here, research shows that casual clothing inspires confidence. So now that we've seen an example of what a really good argumentative essay for the HiSET exam looks like, let's talk about how this essay is going to be scored. So your essay is going to be scored on a scale of 1 through 6, with 6 being the highest score you can get and 1 being the lowest score that you can get. There are several different factors that go into deciding what your score is going to be, but really this is what it boils down to. It's just how they describe either weak, limited, partial, adequate, strong, or superior command over writing your argument. The essay that we just read through was a score of a 4. And that's something that you want to shoot for. That's a great score to get on a HiSET essay. In order to pass, you just need to get a score of a 2, that's all. If you want to look for more information on the HiSET exam and the HiSET writing exam, you can just go to this website, hiset.ets.org, where you can find free practice tests and print off free information about the HiSET exam.